So just a week ago, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he was sworn in as Ghana's next president. And most people who are in the country, the donor are welcoming this decision because we wanted a change and change has come. Now, one of the things that John Dramani Mahama on the campaign promises, in the campaign, Ebrano campaigning and his promises, was to actually use a lean government and perhaps, idea or describe it, as an efficient and effective government, which means, say, idea will be use 100, for 100, or no be use 50. Now, or they achieve that same thing. Remember, as I 50 now, oh, you no. How they achieve that same purpose and go be bit me using for 100, they achieve, or cut it down cost, on go for be. What I say at the end of the day, I be saving your taxpayers' money. And one of those promises was using little ministers, little under 60 ministers. And this particular promise, we realize that and MP before Lucia, they actually conveyed in Parliament after December 7th. Now, Fayette Markin said that he is looking at how this policy will be implemented because MDC we need so many seats and there are so many MPs right now. He doesn't know what the National Democratic Congress is going to do with this many MPs. And now that John Dramani Mahama has promised to just use 60 ministers for efficient and also effective government. Now, it's here for that's sorry and true to his words. Immediately after John Dramani Mahama, he was sworn in. Just 3 days, and announces and he is officially reducing the number of ministers. Now, press release by we into screens. This is just a copy from Graphic Online. I say President Mahama reduces ministers to 23 in civil service restructuring. So this was what we learned. Say ministers now a year somewhere over a year numbers near the idea was I think say 30 or so, reducing to somewhere 23. Telling him, say, and telling Ghanaians, say, he is ready to really restructure Ghana and also information or the name and as in the mantra, the name say, a better Ghana, perhaps he can achieve it. It's therefore, just for context, because the BSc ministries are a year John Dramani Mahama or Yifrimu, any other ones or Kambo Mono, Yemfa we into screens or see the following are the ones that have been revoked. Number 1, Information Ministry. Number 2, National Security. Number 3, Parliamentary Affairs. Number 4, Railway Development. Number 5, Sanitation and Water Resources. Number 6, Public Services, Public Enterprises. And also number 7, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, which has been moved and added to local government. So these are the ministries. Now it's therefore in some way by and Ghana for Bibri, we're welcoming this with so much hope and so much open arms. Up until a yenipa bako he's been very critical of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in his first tenure. He again, as the same Bibraba to Jopa is a Ghana for Mubusim Emma John Dramani Mahama because this man he has not done anything. Nipa American Simi Bryce Simmons of IMANI Ghana. Now, this is what a year Bryce Simmons opposed to. He was opposed to a lot of lengthy statement on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media. Oka say Mahama. The number of ministries are we reduce it from 30 to 23, and yes, officer you they be, and yes, he wants an effective and efficient and lean government too. He's just doing it to please Ghanaians. Oh, why yeah, one so kind, why yeah. This is what Bryce Simmons posted. You have a copy into screens. Or say Ghana's new president has reduced the number of government ministries to 23 from the previous 30 in line with his campaign promises. When it comes to clustering subsectors to create ministries, every wise person you meet will have different opinions. Now, Bryce Simmons say, Mahama said that ye be a dance. Ministries, say ministries of affairs, ministries of local, ministry of government, ministries of local government and development. It's just ministries no the bebre no the boom. But no just say Mahama no ministries are ewu hia no we ye fio dey be onu crop person the bebre account. But what he's doing is that he just wants to please Ghanaians. Yeah, can say oh Mahama no asisa Bryce Simmons who tia. In the 2000s, the Kufuor government decided that youth and sports belong to education or belong with education. The Mills government disagreed, but later government felt that works and housing somehow fit well with the water resources. In all these clustering businesses, no government ever bothers to detail its thoughts as to justification. it is just what it is. It is just what it is. And I say, so I did not a year John Mahama, and yet John Mahama is not the first person to do it. Kufuor way back in 2001. Atanos yebi, and Mahama so ebe yebi. Osanso 12 I too can have opinion without explanation. I guess looking at the new list, I might argue that water resources fit best with land and natural resources due to similar concessioning and control issues, and that the same ministry should handle environment innovations nowadays fit best, in my modest view, with science and technology. I might question my agribusiness. I might question why agribusiness is being pulled out of agriculture, and ask whether farmer business too doesn't deserve to be pulled out of the health if we want to go on that tangent, etc. I doubt anyone cares. Because frankly, the usual concern about the number of ministers is primarily about politics. Primarily about optics and symbolism. And opasisiano, the Mahama no enye se ebia opeso create efficient government. He's doing it because he wants to create a symbol. He wants people to see it. He wants people to know, say, the people just don't like seeing presidents appoint a large number of people or ministers because it feels and look quite obscene. John Dramani Mahama, and he's just feeding into the public tirade and the public sentiment. I'm from so much class train of ministries now that John Dramani Mahama, and he's just doing it because at the end of the day, perhaps no, you're not confirming. So Mahama from ministers be brain with me, John baby, at the campaign and answer or the cancer. I see, cutting down the number of ministers and ministries is an exercise in reading the sentiments of the public, and it's being responsive and not about lean and efficient government reforms per se. Being a listening government can have its own rewards separate from efficiency gains. And because a man for complaints say Ghana ministers endorse or no ready to obey any efficient and I say a government. 7. To actually move in the direction of government efficiency, you must ask whether the thousands of workers in the collapsed ministries will leave the government payroll or will simply be redistributed. How come we never touch the actual agencies where 98% of public workers and government business reside? Ministries are merely the tip of the iceberg. Agencies like the Police, Ghana Education Service, and Ghana Revenue Authority are far heftier state-owned enterprise than GMPC and ECG matter in every respect of spending efficiency than the 60 ministers. Now, the bright Eddie Tujane say, you can't reduce ministers. Ministers now reducing who? Why? Because minister do be tuano. Obitimaya contract ni be but a particular ministry no obo some workers be brave. See no workers no. I close it down and I merge these ministries. Where are they going? A bright I said basically no, they'll be redistributed. Now, far from that, one of the things to I was on this particular tangent and they say, or part say there are certain companies I was a restructure. Maybe to say ECG, maybe to say Ghana Revenue Authority, too many people on payroll. And no, and I was see a for more payroll, more yeshi. And you will see you moving, and you bit say efficient because as be efficient, then it means also use small numbers to achieve a greater or the same tax which you were doing previously. 8. Would there be less spending on bureaucracy across the government as a whole following the reduction of the number of ministries? Where are the financial numbers to prove this? If you went back to history and compare spending on office government machinery before and after listening governments cut down the numbers of ministers, you might be surprised to see the expense tends to increase year on year regardless. So what I say, call back now, share ministerial positions and now ministers and now ministries are ye close yana say major yana. You realize that now Sikana government on that particular and the ministries as a whole, all the ministries as a whole, as soon in fact it increases YOY. That is year on year. 9. Regardless, furthermore, ministries are very varied. There are some like the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs that receive on average less than $5 million a year as its entire budget. The funny ministry of Parliamentary Affairs get barely 600k a year. Frankly, ministries like that and the one for business development won't be missed by anyone. They look like nuances. On the score alone, citizens like to see them axed, but their total burden on the exchequer is pony. As someone a year bright Eddie Tujane say, ministry be to say a year parliamentary affairs and a ministry be to say a chieftaincy. Ghana every year be a sika ye bo ewo ministry of chieftaincy annual budget no $5 million. Okay, whereas ministry of parliamentary affairs are the core backbone of the country's democracy. No? We spend less than and barely $500,000, like $600,000 on it. The Osha year, the Jessica said you shame bapa ye. And making any significant a ministry of chieftaincy and religious affairs. But even if it is important, Osha budgets now is too much. And what does it achieve? We don't know. Also to say 10. There are giant ministries like health, education, roads and highways, and interior. Education gets a cool $2 billion a year, more than 20% of the total government budget in most years. In fact, in 2024, the budget of the Ghanaian Ministry of Education is twice that of Nigerian Federal Ministry of Education. If you add all public spending in Ghana education, if you add all public spending on the education in Nigeria up, Ghana's ministry still spends more. It is true behemoth. The health ministry gets $1 billion. If you really want to make savings in the government spending, you could introduce reforms in health and education that will eclipse the savings made from abolishing 5 ministries. And here I'm talking about truly abolition, like sacking workers and auctioning V8, not Ghana-style ministerial collapses in which everything remains as before except the few titles dropped. Bright Air say, go into the books, go into the books and go and look at it very well. If you go into the books and you go and look at it very well, you realize say ministry sleepy or the budget's not so do. One of them is the Ministry of Education. One of them is the Ministry of Health. Now, even though these particular two are very important, okay, in Ghana, our restructuring and our development, it is too much, especially for the Ministry of Education. Or part say every year, Ghana, your budget for education is $2 billion. Now, Ocean Nigeria population over 200 million. Or more education budget for the whole country, no crown. And so 2 billion. Yeah, the end dozen pim. Ghana population 30 million. And you're spending 2 billion on that. And a bright Eka say, instead of us dropping titles in the ministerial position, why don't we as a country sit down and look at the ministerial positions Jessica, wasting money. What you say? Be found say we want to make it efficient. We want to make efficacy work. Now, the end of the day, ministry one could be brave as sub chief titles, managers, one, and drop it be bromu here. Yen cutting down costs on the VAT, they may my workers and setting 24 allowances near their DN share the real thing that woho. And then we drop it titles out here because yes, Anna, you just want to do something again for because Papa na be 11. Anyway, the issue of how to save money across the government is very broad and multifaceted. And multifaceted one. The biggest area is actually in debt management, then capital expenditure, and finally procurement related to general government operations. Only then does one get to payroll issues. Ministerial pegs should be on the list somewhere for sure, perhaps on the page of the 17 memo in which statutory and guest house management, fuel coupons, useless workshops, and travel impress are certainly higher up. In short, the issues plenty, okay, or all the issues are plenty, and Mr. President has only 4 years. So the work day, serious, but God today. Bright Air Party say in some day but ye cast efficiency ministerial ministers be or they be omo workshop. No me prefer for side checks. Any NSS for ya omaba fresh ye ne omu di echi sa ne omu to soso na ha na omu di echi na ye sanse e feel omu tin aka workshop na ya fa NSS for any to South Africa pa and a boss sa na say ye wi omo edefra this workshop no hotel bebem traveling bebem allowance cut all of these unnecessary things fuel coupon go for V8 fuel coupon every day be 1,000 Ghana. We need to do something about this. We need to feel what go for be brave or payroll no so much unnecessary workshops, unnecessary guest house management. Ni nyina ye niam e wo se ye hwe. Nti say kase ye pese ye hwe efficiency mu pa na. Asa ye hwe mu yi because Mahama no 4 years pe sana Bryce Simmons e ka no. Ejuma wo pa yi but o party se Nyankopon so e wo ho. Ye nya hwaje nchire concerning this issue. What do you think about this whole issue at Ecoso? Let us know what you think in the comment section.